The teachings of Rabbi Ephraim Sprecher, Dean of Students at Diaspora Yeshiva on Mount Zion, Jerusalem.
Manishtana Hanukkah from all the other Chagim. It's the only Chag which is MIA in Tanakh and the Mishnah. You take a look at your source sheets. It says Megillas Chashmonaim. The Chashmonaim also wrote a Megillah, and it starts off Hivimei Antiochus Melch Yovan, just like Hivimei Achashverosh. Question is, why did the Chazal reject Megillas Chashmonaim and they accepted Megillat Esther? And why did Rabbi Yehuda Anasi reject Hanukkah in the Mishnah? You look at the footnote on the bottom of 713, Megillas Chashmonaim, known as Megillas Antiochus, according to Sadia Goen, he says, who wrote this Megillah? The 5 sons of Matasyahu. So the according to Sadia Goen, the Maccabees themselves wrote Megillas Chashmonaim, like Esther wrote Megillas Esther. So the question is, why did Chazal accept Megillat Esther as part of Tanakh, but rejected Megillas Chashmonaim? And even a greater question, why did Yehuda Anasi leave them out of the Mishnah? There's a whole tractate for Purim, but there isn't even one little Mishnah that deals with Hanukkah. So that's the great mystery that we have to deal with. And make the question even stronger, Hanukkah is the most precious mitzvah of all, according to the Rambam. It's the most precious mitzvah of all. So it's the most precious, we're going to talk about why. But if that's the case, the Rambam said it's the most precious mitzvah of all. He doesn't say that with any other mitzvah, so that makes the question even stronger. So, in my humble opinion, I think that the answer is as follows. Tanakh is written on parchment, right?
Right.
But since Chanukah is mitzvah chaviva ad ma'od, it's the most precious mitzvah, perhaps that's why there's no Mishnah and there's no Tanakh for it. Because instead of being written on parchment, it's written on my neshama. Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam. We'll develop this later as this year. But I want to say, since Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam is a pasuk in Mishlei, that the soul of the candle of God is the soul of a human being, so my soul is holier than a Sefer Torah. Isn't my soul holier than a Sefer Torah? So the Megillat Chashmonaim doesn't have to be part of Tanakh. It's written on my neshama. It's on my tzelem Elohim. It's my chelik Elohai mimal. Ki chelik Hashem amo. That Hanukkah candle represents my godly soul. Isn't my godly soul, Ira, more precious than parchment? I'll prove you that I'm right. Let's say there's a fire on Shabbat. There's 100 Torah scrolls and a 119-year-old man who will live only a minute and a half. You can save the 119-year-old man who will die in 60 seconds, or the 100 Torah scrolls. Abram, who do you say first? The 119-year-old guy who can only live another 30 seconds. You let the 100 or the million Torah scrolls burn, baby, burn, but you save that one person who's 119 years old, even though how do you say go says in English? Mendy, how do you say go says in English? Go says. Even those in death throes, you save him and you forget about the 100 Sefer Torahs. So you see that a Yiddish neshama is much more precious than a Sefer Torah. So perhaps that's why there is no Tanakh of Hanukkah and there's no Mishnah, because it's written on my godly soul. We'll develop this as we go along, but please bear with me. It's written on my tzelem Elohim, ki chelik Hashem amo. It's a pasuk in Parshas Hazinu, ki chelik Hashem amo. God is a portion of His people. So that Chanukah menorah, that candle is what? My godly soul, Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam. And therefore you don't need to write it on parchment because it's written on my neshama, which is more precious than any parchment. Ma nishtana Chanukah, from all the Chagim, it's the only Chag, it's Mahadrin Mina Mahadrin. There is no other mitzvah the rabbis say Mahadrin Mina Mahadrin. People think Mahadrin Mahadrin is cottage cheese. But there's no cottage cheese Mahadrin Mina Mahadrin, Avram. Mahadrin Mina Mahadrin is what? Neros Chanukah. Why did the rabbis see it's not even a Torah mitzvah? It's only Rabbanan. So what's this Mahadrin Mina Mahadrin dafka by Chanukah? And it's the most precious mitzvah. It's not even a Torah mitzvah. Says the great Rav Aaron Soloveitchik, he says something amazing. What's the background to Hanukkah? Many Jews were assimilating and were captivated by the beauty of Greek culture. So Rav Aaron said, Hanukkah was instituted, we got to fight beauty with beauty. Many Jews fell in for the beauty of Greek culture, but we have to play up that our religion has more beauty than Greek culture. Mahadvin mina, what does Mahadvin mean? Beauty.
Hadar, yeah.
Hadar, beauty. We have to point out that Hanukkah and Judaism, by extension, is so beautiful, we don't need to go shopping in what?
Greek.
In Greek beauty. So therefore, said Rav Aaron, we want to fight the hiddur of the Gentile culture with the hiddur of Torah Judaism. The message of Hanukkah is to bring the beauty of Judaism to the forefront. And therefore, Hanukkah comes from the word chinuch. Ira, what does chinuch mean? Educate.
Or dedication.
Dedication, but to educate us. There's so much beauty in Yahadut. Why don't you bring it out? Hanukkah is a time with the songs and the Hanukkah Zmirot and the Hanukkah Geld is to demonstrate how much beauty there is in Yahadut, and you don't have to go shopping for beauty among the Greeks. So therefore, Rav Aaron Soloveitchik Zatzal said, it's dafke mahadrin mina mahadrin. Hanukkah, that's the antidote for the beauty of Greek culture, is the beauty of what? Of Judaism. You just got to play it up and bring it out. Chinuch, to educate us, Hanukkah, about the beauty of what? Of Yahadut. So they wrote a Megillah. If you look, you turn over the paper on the other side, source number 3, the Rambam tells us the laws of Hanukkah. So he tells us in the Second Temple, the Greeks made terrible decrees against us, and they prevented us from doing our religion, and Kodesh Baruch Hu what? It's highlighted in yellow. You have that, Avram, until Hashem had mercy on us and saved us, and we overcame our enemies, as a result of which Jewish independence and sovereignty returned for over 200 years. So Hanukkah happened in the middle of a Bayis Sheni. So the question is, such a great miracle, Jewish sovereignty was restored, how come Mashiach didn't come? 2183 years ago, this great victory, Jewish sovereignty in the land of Israel, Nisim in the Flaot, Bila, why didn't Mashiach come? So Chabad said, because the Rebbe was not born yet. Now that's what they say. But really, Avram, why didn't Mashiach come? The Ramban deals with this question.
Some thought that
In Parshas Vayechi, what?
Some thought that Bar Kokhba was the Mashiach.
Bar Kokhba was much later. This is much earlier, right? So why did Mashiach come? So the Ramban answers this question in Parshas Vayechi. He says, why were the Maccabee brothers punished? All of them got killed out, not at the same time, but the war. He says they committed a sin. He says in Parshas Vayechi, Lo Yosha Shavit Mi Yehuda. Kingship should only come from whom? From Yehuda. So when they won this great victory, they should have handed over the kingship to what? To Shevet Yehuda. They refused, and therefore Ramban says they were punished, that the brothers got killed out, and therefore Mashiach did not come. So if the Maccabee brothers would have handed over the reins of kingship to Yehuda, Mashiach would have been here 2183 years ago. That means no Chorban Bayit Sheni. It also means no Holocaust and no Abu Mamzer. But they say power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So even though the Maccabees were great tzaddikim, but the power, it went to their heads. They should have handed over the kingship to Yehuda. Then Mashiach would have come. Because they didn't, they were punished by being killed, and we are still waiting for the Mashiach 2183 years later. Hanukkah, we light one candle at a time. Malan Bakodesh, moving up. When it comes to Kedusha, Ira, you got to go step by step. You got to move up one at a time. You can't grab too much because then you lose everything. So the message of Hanukkah be like one candle at a time, and we increase Kedusha step by step, moving on up. Now, why do we eat donuts on Hanukkah? They're selling delicious donuts out there. Did you buy one? You know why? Because it tastes good. No. Because when you eat the donuts, you get heartburn for 8 days. Burns in your stomach for 8 days, no, Lillian? So you remember the miracle of what? Of the 8 days of the boil, right? But that's not the reason, right?
So you can make potato
without heartburn, right? Now, what's the message of Hanukkah? No one can do it my way. Where does the name Hanukkah come from? Bamidbar 7. Zois Chanuka Samizbeach. The Nesiim dedicated the altar in the Mishkan 1148 years before the Hanukkah miracle. So the Nesiim brought dedication gifts. And we know the Torah is so economical, there's exactly 300 to 4,805 letters in the Torah scroll. There isn't even one extra letter. So why does the Torah keep repeating in Parshas Nosai, Zois Chanuka Samizbeach, 12 times? Each Nasi brought the exact same dedication gift. So write one guy, and the other guy's ditto. The Torah is so economical not to waste an extra word or a letter. Why repeat the gift 12 identical times? And what has it got to do with what? Below with Hanukkah. Zois Chanuka Samizbeach. 1148 years later, the Maccabees dedicated a new Mizbeach. And they called the Yontif Hanukkah after Bamidbar chapter 7. Because the Greeks had defiled and destroyed the altar, so the Maccabees built a new altar. There was a new Chanukkah Samizbeach, Zois Chanukkah Samizbeach. What's the connection between the Nesiim and my Hanukkah candle? Each Nasi brought the exact same gift. So why repeat it 12 identical times? No one can do it my way. We're all lighting a Hanukkah candle tonight, Aram. But no one can light it my way. No one can do it my way. My little nair, my little candle dispels much darkness. It's unique and special. Just like the Chanukkah of the Nesiim in the Midbar. So the Chanukkah's Chashmonayim, when they dedicated the altar, every one of us has to dedicate our own altar, and no one can do it my way.
We turn into a Kohen tonight.
Virtual Kohen for a day. My living room becomes a Mishkan, and I become a virtual Kohen for the day.
Oh, that's good.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So that's the message. We all light the same candle, but no one can light it the way I do it. We're all unique and special. Just like my fingerprints are unique, the way I light the candle tonight is unique and special. And this explains something strange. In last week's Parsha, Yaakov goes back for Pachim Ktanim. Yaakov was a millionaire. He just sent Esav hundreds of animals. So why does Rashi quote Chazal, Yaakov, and this Parsha is always read around Hanukkah time, he went back to get Pachim Ktanim? A millionaire is worried about Pachim Ktanim. And if he went back, why tell me about it? The Torah is GPS, God's personal system. What's the answer? The Pachim Ketanim is my little Pach Shemen. Yaakov is teaching us that there are no Pachim Ketanim in life. My little Pach Shemen goes a long way. Don't neglect what you think is Pachim Ketanim, what you think is what? Ordinary. Everything in life is a big deal. My little Pach Shemen goes a long way. My little Pach Shemen is a big deal.
How do you say that in English?
Little jar. Little jar. Yaakov went back for little jars. What's the message? There are no little jars in life. Everything in life is a big deal. And therefore Hanukkah is 8 days. Because the miracle was only 7. Right? There wasn't enough oil for one day. So why
Why was that oil so special?
That little.
So why celebrate 8 days for a 7-day miracle? There was enough days. So the extra day to eat latkes, Avram, right? No. The 7 days is to celebrate that little jar of oil burned for 8 days. The extra day, Hanukkah, is to celebrate the pachim ktanim. The very fact that oil burns and vinegar doesn't, that itself is a miracle. We think it's a small matter, oil burns. We take it for granted. Why should oil burn and vinegar shouldn't burn? You know the Gemara in Tainus, Chanina ben Dois's daughter, she put vinegar instead of what? Oil. And she began to cry. What did the father say?
Don't cry, little girl.
Don't cry, take a pill and lie down. The one who commanded oil to burn, command vinegar and burn, baby, burn all night. So the extra day of Hanukkah is to teach there is no pachim ketanim. Everything in life is a big deal. Even the very fact that oil burns and vinegar doesn't is also a big deal. All of life's moments are big. Not just the supernatural, but everything that we do in life is a big deal. Yaakov Avinu is teaching us the same message of Hanukkah, that everything in life, that even though we think it's a pachim kitanim, there ain't no such thing. All of life's moments, all of life's experiences, no matter how routine and mundane we think they are, is what?
Big deal.
Big deal. And we have to cherish every moment of life. And that's the message of the pachim kitanim. All life moments are valuable, even what we think is a small potatoes. Choshech al panei home, Genesis 1, there was darkness on the face of the deep. Ira says the Medrash, whose darkness? Yavan. Yavan is darkness, symbol of darkness. But I'm mixed up. Megillah, page 8, tells us that a Sefer Torah can be written in Greek. To me, can you write a Sefer Torah in Spanish? In English, no. But Megillah, page 8 says a Sefer Torah written in Greek is kosher.
Wow.
But it's darkness. You're saying that Greece is dark, and here you're telling me that what? That you can write a Sefer Torah in Greek, and you could speak Greek, it's holy language. What's going on over here? I'm mixed up, says the great Rav Kook. Eretz Yisrael in Tanakh is called Zion. Why is Israel called Zion? Zion is spelled Tzadik Yavan. Tzadik Yavan. When Yavan is alone, it's not attached to the Tzadik, it's darkness. But when you harness the Yavan to the Tzadik, what do you get? Zion. Yeah, the great Rav Kook.
Whoa.
In Eretz Yisrael, where every physical act, walking, kumet halech ba'aretz. You know what Israel's national bird is? The building crane. Building the land of Israel is holy. Says Rav Kook, our tafkid is to sanctify the mundane, to merge the beauty of Yavan with the tzaddik. How do you spell Tzion? Tzaddik? Yavan. So, Yavan alone is tameh, is chosher. But when you harness it, when you merge it with the tzaddik, you get Zion. When you build the land of Israel, you're using Greek culture, Western civilization, high-tech, spot-up nation. When you channel that and you merge that with building the land of Israel, then that mundane act itself becomes what? Becomes what? Holy. Tzaddik Yavan. Isn't that amazing? Building the land of Israel is all spiritual. So next time you're stuck in a traffic jam, Baruch Hashem, there's so much building going on, we have a traffic jam. We're harnessing the tzaddik with the Yavan, Zion. That's our tafkid. Rav Kook goes even further. He says, was it a coinky dinky? Who are the warriors who fought the Greeks? Who are the IDF soldiers? Kohanim. Why Kohanim? They're all Kohanim. Says Rav Kook, the message of Hanukkah is that there's so much Kedusha in the IDF. Join the IDF and become a virtual Kohen. So Dafke, the victory was through the Kohanim. Who are the heroes of the IDF? Dafke Kohanim. Kohanim is all about Kedusha, spiritual matters. But they took this physical war of Eretz Yisrael is, the Yishuv of Eretz Yisrael is a mitzvah, and they channeled it to Kedusha of the Beit HaMikdash, and that's the tafkid of Chanuka, says Rav Kook. To join the IDF, you become a virtual Kohen. Who taught us that? The Kohanim. They were the great soldiers. The great military victory happened to the Kohanim. There's an amazing Balaturim in Parshas Tzav. The Balaturim says the same word by the Kohen's uniform was written by King David's army. Midoi Bad. Balaturim wonders, why is it the same word for the king's, the uniform of the soldiers under King David, the same word for the uniform of the Kohen? Says the Balaturim, Big Day Kuhuna ke Big Day Melchama. What does that mean? That the Big Day Kuhuna is like the big day of the IDF soldier. This is Balaturim. I think he was very Haredi. Balaturim was Haredi. So Rav Kook points out that in the year 1348, the Balaturim wrote this, that the IDF soldier's uniform has the Kedusha of Big Day Kuhuna. Big Day Kuhuna, Balaturim Parshas Tzav, ki Big Day Melchama. And that's why the miracle of Hanukkah happened dafke through the Kohanim. They symbolize Kedusha, spirituality, and they become the fighters. They become the warriors. It's not a coincidence, Chanok. To teach that in Eretz Yisrael, when you're a fighter, that's the highest Kedusha. You hear Rav Kook? Yeah. To teach that in Eretz Yisrael, when you fight for the land of Israel, Melchemet Mitzvah, that is a virtual kahuna. And Rav Kook goes further. The Kohanim in the Beis HaMikdash, they sacrificed animals. The IDF soldier sacrifices his life. Isn't his life worth more than what? Than an animal's sacrifice? So he's even holier than the Kohen, says Rav Kook. And that's why the Hanukkah nest happened. The warriors, the fighters were Dafka Kohanim, where you merge the physical act of war with the Kedusha fighting for the land of Israel. So the Eretz Yisrael, every mundane act becomes what? Sanctified. That's the awesome power of Eretz Yisrael, to take the tzaddik and merge it with the yavan. So then the yavan itself becomes what? Holy and elevated. We're using Greek beauty for Kedusha. And in Eretz Yisrael, everything you do, the most mundane physical act in Eretz Yisrael is Kodesh. And therefore, Megillat Ruth did something amazing. It says Boaz was the chief rabbi in Shofet. Says he went to winnow his field, the grain. I need to know that 3,000 years ago, that the chief rabbi of Israel, Boaz, was a Shofet. He had many workers. Why did the Navi point out he left his office in Heichel Shlomo and he went to winnow his own grain? Why did he do that? He has many workers. Doesn't he have better things to do? He's the chief rabbi of Israel. And why does the Navi tell me about it? Said the Chassam Sofer to teach that working the land of Israel is holy. The very fact that you work in the land of Israel is Kodesh. So Boaz demonstrated that by leaving his fancy chief rabbi office to work the land of Israel, to demonstrate that every mundane act that you do in Israel is elevated to Kedusha. The Tzaddik Yavan, Tzion. That's the beauty of what? Of living in Eretz Yisrael. Baruch Hashem, we are zoicha for that. Chag Urim Sameach. Tonight, David, not Chag Purim, Chag Urim. Hanukkah. Ma nishtana Hanukkah mikol hachagim. It's the only mitzvah the Rambam says, mitzvah chaviva ad ma'od. The Rambam is very careful in his words. He doesn't mince any words. He calls Hanukkah the most precious mitzvah of all, which is strange because it's not even what? A Torah mitzvah. It's only Rabbanan. Why is Hanukkah the most precious mitzvah of all? The Rambam doesn't say why. It's a good thing he doesn't, otherwise I'd be unemployed. So I'll give you a few reasons why I think the Rambam calls Hanukkah the most precious mitzvah of all. Hanukkah is Nes Godol Hoyapo. All the other Nisim, all the other Chagim took place where? Outside. Where did Pesach take place? In Cairo. Right? Where did Sukkot take place? In Midbar Sinai. Where did Matan Torah take place? Midbar Sinai. Where did Purim take place? Iran. The only Nes, the only Chag that took place here is what? So therefore, in my opinion, therefore the Rambam calls it what? Mitzvah Chaviva Ad Ma'od. It's Nes Godol Hoya Po. Unlike Pesach and Purim is Nes Godol Hoya Sham. And perhaps that's why the Rambam calls Hanukkah the most precious mitzvah of all. As we said before, it's the only Chag not in Tanakh. Isn't it strange? That's the most precious mitzvah of all, and it's the only Chag not in the Mishnah, and the only Chag not in Tanakh, if it's the most precious mitzvah. So we explain. Because the other Nisim are written on animal skin. Nes Chanukah, I've got you under my skin. Mindel, know that song?
Yeah.
I've got you under my skin. Isn't my skin more precious than parchment?
Yeah.
So Hanukkah is the only yontiv not written in Tanakh, because it's better than Tanakh. It's written on my neshama. Isn't my neshama more valuable than Tanakh?
Yeah.
We said before, I'm more valuable than 1,000 million Sefer Torahs, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, Hanukkah is the only mitzvah, the only Chag written under my skin.
Who wrote it? Who wrote all the?
We all write our own. The Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam.
Who wrote all the things that we do on Hanukkah? Al Hanisim, Al Hapurka.
The rabbis. The rabbis, but there is no Tanakh. Right? The rabbis rejected it because you don't need it. It's written on my neshama. And my neshama is more precious than any parchment.
Isn't the Raisa mitzvah more higher than the rabbinical mitzvah?
So you're asking good. So why is Hanukkah the most precious mitzvah of all, David? It's not even the Raisa, it's only the Rabbanan.
Yeah.
So I'm saying because it's the, and we answer Kash with a Kash, it's the only Chag not in Tanakh. It's the only Chag not in Tanakh. Because it's written as something better than Tanakh. What's better than Tanakh? Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam. It's written on my godly soul. My soul is more precious than any animal skin, and therefore the Rambam calls Hanukkah the most precious mitzvah of all. Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam. That Hanukkah candle is my godly soul. We are a piece of Ner Hashem. Ki chelek Hashem amo. God is a portion of His people. It says in Parshas Hazinu. And then Job 31 says, chelek alahai mimal. Every Jew is a chelek alahai mimal. And the Alatanya says, mamash. So therefore, Hanukkah doesn't need to be in Tanakh, because it's on my godly neshama. That candle represents my godly soul, which is eternal. We are God's eternal flame. We are God's eternal, endless light.
Rabbi,
Yes?
is it because Tanakh was already finished? It was already
Okay,
written.
so why...
Nothing could be added.
You're right. That's the technical reason. I'm giving you the...
I'm sorry, I needed that.
that's the technical reason. The canon was closed. But why was the canon closed? Right? You're right, it was closed. So my chidush is, because it's the most precious mitzvah, because it's written on my neshama.
Right.
And my neshama is more valuable than any parchment. Okay? So Hanukkah, I've seen the light. The nest is not how the little jar of oil lasted for 8 days. The biggest nest is how we have lasted throughout the centuries, besides Hitler, Abu Mamzer, and Arafat the Rat, and all the Jew haters. Our candle continues to burn. My godly soul cannot be extinguished. That's the real Hanukkah miracle. How can we still be here? That God's candle can never be extinguished. What's God's candle, Ira? My soul. Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam. Mishlei says, the candle of God is the soul of what? Of the human being. So when I light the candle tonight, what am I emphasizing? I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man. I'm God's eternal flame. I'm God's endless light. I am God's candles. Persume nisa. Why don't you put the matzah in the window? Ira, you put the matzah in the window? Why don't you put the shofar in the window? Avram, why don't you put your lulav in the window? What's the thing with, what are you advertising the Hanukkah candle? Manishtana.
And to the non-Jews as well.
Persume nisa. You have to publicize the fact that I am not my bodysuit. I'm a godly soul. Who knows that? So 8 days a year, I'm advertising who I am. I'm not my bodysuit. I'm God's eternal flame. Look in the window. And Rav Soloveitchik said, Persume nisa. Yehuda mentions for Goyim as well.
The only one we're supposed
The only one, Rav Soloveitchik said for Goyim as well. The Goy also has to know that we are God's eternal flame. Ki chelek Hashem amo, as it says in Pashas Hazinu, Ki chelek Hashem amo. That's pretty amazing, huh?
There.
Another reason why Hanukkah is mitzvah chaviva ad ma'od. We know achron chaviv. That's why a Viennese table, Ira, comes at the end of a meal. Viennese table, dessert, the end of it. Achron, saving the best for last. If you count the letters in the Ten Commandments, Dr. Hackett, says the Baal HaTurim, how many letters are there in Parshas Yisro, in the Ten Commandments? 620. He counted, I trust him, the Baal HaTurim. He says 613 Torah mitzvahs, but there's 7 mitzvahs de Rabbanan. So the extra 7 letters in the 10 Commandments represent rabbinic mitzvahs. Tonight you'll make a bracha lahadik ner asher kirishonu b'mitzvaysa b'tzimanu. Where did God command me to light Hanukkah candles? Last time I checked, Avram wasn't in the Torah. So how do I make a bracha or Friday night candles? Where did God command me to light Friday night candles? Or Hanukkah candles? And we say the bracha you commanded me to light?
Israel.
There are 7 extra letters in the 10 Commandments. Those 7 extra letters represent what? The seven rabbinic, also 7 Orachai laws, but they also represent the 7 rabbinic mitzvahs. So even the rabbinic mitzvahs have an extra letter in the 10 Commandments. So there's 613 Torah mitzvahs, and there's 7 rabbinic mitzvahs. Gematria Keter. What's Keter? Crown. Kaf Taf Reish. What's the last of the Keter? The 7 rabbinic mitzvahs are to make an eruv, to til ashedayim before you eat bread, making brachas besides benching, reading the Megillah, saying Hallel. Number 6 is Nerot Shabbat. Chronologically, historically, what's the last of the 7 rabbinic mitzvahs, Rabbi Yaakov? Hanukkah. So my humble opinion, the Rambam says it's mitzvah chaviva ad ma'od. It's achron chav. It completes the keter. It's the last of the 620 chronologically, and therefore the Rambam calls it mitzvah chaviva ad ma'od.
The last is the most dearest to God.
Achron chaviv. Right? Think of the Viennese table. End of the meal, not the beginning. Right?
Or women, because they were the last creation.
That's right. Achron. So ladies were created last. Achron chaviv. Nachon? Yeah. So this most precious mitzvah of Hanukkah, it doesn't need to be written on parchment. It doesn't need a Mishnah, because I'm the living Hanukkah miracle. Every one of us, David, is the living Hanukkah miracle. And my precious soul is more holy than any Tanakh or any Mishnah. I think that's the message. I think that's the message of Hanukkah. Now, the Pasha of Yosef's dreams always comes out Hanukkah. What's the connection? Says Rav Soloveitchik. What's the connection? Last week we had Yosef's dream, and this week we have Paro's dream, and it always comes out Hanukkah. Why? When Yosef has his dream last week, he doesn't mention God's name, not even once. And in this week's Pasha, by Paro's dream, he keeps repeating Hashem's name over and over again. Madua v'lama. And what does it got to do with what? With Chanuka, Hanukkah. Says the great Rav Soloveitchik. Last week's Parsha, Yosef's dream, Vayisaper. He tells the dream over, but he's totally passive. If you are passive and not proactive in life, says Rav Soloveitchik, you're not going to see the Yad Hashem. Hashem tzilcha. The Pasuk in Tehillim, God is your shadow. The more active you are in life, the more you'll see God in your life. So when Yosef tells over his dream to the brothers, he's totally passive, no input. So he doesn't mention Hashem's name at all. But in this week's Parsha, by Paro's dream, he not only interprets the dream, but he's proactive. He gives advice, he interprets the dream, and he says, I got to be your food czar, I got to carry out the plan. So the more active you are in life, says Rav Soloveitchik, the more you see the Yad Hashem. So Dafka over here, in Paro's dream, Yosef keeps repeating Elokim, Elokim. The more active you are, the more you can see the Yad Hashem. The more active you are in life, Midah keneged Midah, the more active God is in your life.
That's good.
And he says the Nes Chanuka is a manifestation of that. Only when the Maccabees revolted did God do any miracles for them. Before the Maccabees made their move, God was not helping them. Only when they revolted and rebelled did Hashem come to their aid. God only helps those who help themselves. Isn't that an amazing idea? Only by Paro's dream does Yosef take on an active role. He becomes proactive. Unlike his dream, he's a nebish. He doesn't mention Hashem's name. You want to see Hashem in your life, said Rav Soloveitchik, be proactive. The more you're active in life, the more you see the Yad Hashem. So only by Paro's dream, where he's totally active and becomes totally involved and gives a game plan how to carry out the strategy with him on top, only then does he keep repeating Elokim, Elokim, Elokim. And this is the message of Hanukkah. God waited for the Maccabees to make their first move. If they would not have moved, forget about it. And the message of the 6-Day War, said the great Rav Soloveitchik, the same idea.
Wow.
If the IDF pilots would not have gotten into those phantom jets and bombed the Egyptian airfields, nothing would have happened. Only when the IDF took the what? The initiative. Preemptive strike, then miracles unbelievable. But if they wouldn't have gotten into those phantoms and the Mirage jets, Avram, miracles happened. The commander of the Egyptian Air Force was stuck in traffic and the radars got jammed. You read the unbelievable miracles, what happened there. The telephones went out, but that only happened.
You're all eating breakfast.
All eating breakfast, right? And he couldn't get the message. But that miracle only happened when the IDF was in the Phantom Mirage jets. If we wouldn't have taken the initiative, Lillian, no ness. We got to make it happen, says Rav Soloveitchik. Right. God reacts to our behavior. We have to be proactive, especially in Eretz Yisrael. Only when we do our best, only then will HaKadosh Baruch Hu do the rest. So that's the story of Hanukkah, the dreams, and the greatest of all. Time magazine had an article, all the wars of history are studied except the 6-Day War. They don't, West Point, they don't study the 6-Day War. Why not?
Too many miracles.
Too many miracles. Time magazine wrote it, I know it's true. But the miracles only came when the IDF were proactive.
Right.
When we did the first strike, otherwise there'll be no nest. There'll be no nest Hanukkah either. So the message is in Eretz Yisrael, we've got to build the land. God wants us to be his partner. And only when we do our best, only then will HaKadosh Baruch Hu do the rest. That's one of the messages. Now, Hanukkah, the candles have to burn ad shetichle regel min hashuk. The Gemara in Shabbos says, now the Gemara knows Hebrew, could have said until people stop walking in the shuk. But ad shetichle regel min hashuk. Until the regel stops walking in the shuk, what does that mean? Just say until people stop walking. The word regel comes from the Hebrew hergel. What does hergel mean? Regular. There is no regular. The candle's got to burn until you get that juk out of your head. By us, there is no hergel. There is no regular. There is no routine. Everything in Eretz Yisrael is all nisim, even what we think is teva. So the candle's got to burn until you get rid of that hergel mentality. There is no routine in Israel. There is English word regular. There ain't no such thing when it comes to Jews in Eretz Yisrael. Everything is nisim. And that's the candle's got to burn until you internalize that message to get rid of the regel, the hergel. The miracle happened with the shemen. The question is, the entire temple service was canceled. There was no incense either. Nachmanides tells us that incense is a much holier service than the menorah. So why didn't God make Keturah appear? There was no incense either. Why dafke shemen? What's so special about the shemen? The Greeks outlawed the Jewish religion, but they zeroed in on 3 mitzvahs that made it capital punishment. Those 3 mitzvahs are shemen, which is an acronym: Shabbat, Mila, Nida. What's so special about those 3 mitzvahs that the Greeks made it capital punishment more than any other mitzvah? Other mitzvahs, it wouldn't be put to death if you did it, but shemen, acronym, Shabbos, Mila, Nida. If you want to sum up the entire Jewish religion in one acronym, what is it, Ira? Shemen. Shabbat is Kedushas Hazman. Mila and Nida, Kedushas Haguf. That's Yahadut. Check the 613 mitzvot. It's either to sanctify time, which is Shabbat, including Rosh Chodesh and all the Chagim. You're sanctifying time. You're rising above time. And Mila and Nida, you're sanctifying your body. Not just my godly soul is holy, but my physical body can become holy as well. That's a revolutionary idea. So any of the mitzvot is either Kedushas Hazman, symbolized by Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh, Kedushas Haguf, symbolized by Mila Nida. So God made the miracle with that to testify that the Maccabees were not fighting for glory. They weren't fighting for honor or spoils. They were fighting for Yahadut. It was the first holy war in history. Holy war. It was a war for shemen. Shabbat, Mila, Nida. That's Yahadut. Any of the mitzvahs can fall under that category. Sanctifying time or sanctifying the body. Through Mila and Nida, the body itself becomes holy, which was an unbelievable concept. The Greeks couldn't fathom that. The body can become holy. The Rambam tells us, Hadlaka osa mitzvah. Lighting it is a mitzvah. Every one of us has to light our flame. It says the Hanukkah candle is ner ishu beto. Then it says petach bayit b'chutz. It's confusing. Is it ner ishu beto or is it petach bayit b'chutz? First, you have to light your own flame and your family's flame. First, you have to light your own fire and your mishpacha, and then you're supposed to take it outside. So, light my fire. Ner ishu beto. First, get yourself excited, illuminate your own neshama, and once you do that, Ira, you're ready to take it what? Outside. Petach beto. Now, the Rambam makes a strange statement. He says as follows. Hadlokas hanerot ksheira bezarim. We know the entire temple service can only be done by whom? By a Kohen. Man ishtana hadlokas hanerot, but the Rambam says any Jew can light it. Can any Jew burn incense, Avram? Can any Jew do the carbon tamid or any? No. But the Rambam says man ishtana hadlokat hanerot ksheira bezarim. Hilchas Bias Hamikdash, chapter 9. Any Jew can light the menorah, which is not true, Zisel, by any other temple service. And a non-Kohen lights, does any malacha, any avodah, it's what? Possible. He's chayiv misa b'dei shemayim. So Manishtana, the Rambam says that lighting the menorah, any Jew can do, even if he's not a Kohen. So the Rambam says, as long as the Kohen sets up the Neirot, V'tzia lachutz, a Jew cannot go into the temple building. So as long as the Kohen sets up the menorah, you have a picture of it here, you can pass it around, and if he takes it outside, any Jew can light it. What's the message? Every Jew, not just a Kohen, has the koach to get fired up and fire up others. And it's the only avoda any Jew can do. Because any Jew, not just a Kohen, has the ability to what? Light his own fire and light other people's fire. We, for 8 days of Hanukkah, we become a Kohen. The Rambam is saying that. It's amazing. Any Jew has the koyach to light the menorah and inspire others. So it's the only temple service which even a non-Kohen can do, because all of us become virtual Kohanim for the 8 days of Hanukkah, and my living room becomes a virtual Mishkan. That's pretty incredible. So Hanukkah, Larry, I've seen the light.
I see it, brother.
I've seen the light, and we are God's endless light. We are God's Hanukkah candles. And despite all of the Jew haters and all the persecutions, God's eternal flame, which is us, can never be extinguished. That's the greatest miracle of all. So tonight, when we light the candles, we have to what? We have to think about that. We have to think about that. That Hashem waits for us. We have to push the buttons here in Eretz Yisrael. We have to do it. As Hashem waited for the Maccabees to do it. So the Maccabees were inspired by whom? Their sister, Yehudit. Right? Just like the catalyst for the Purim miracle was whom? Esther. The catalyst of the Hanukkah miracle was Yehudis. I don't think she gets enough credit. Huh? Because if you look in Tosfot, in Masechta Psachim, the Rashbam says the miracle happened Hanukkah. He compares Purim through Esther to Hanukkah Yidei Yehudit. There was an evil decree that every Kala had to submit to the Greek general. That was one of the evil decrees. So at her wedding, Yehudit was being dragged off by the Greek soldiers to submit to the Greek general. So she told her brothers there, why don't you defend my honor the way Shimon and Levi defended the honor of Dinah. So she is the one that egged on her brothers. So they knocked off the Greek guards and they freed her, and the rest was what, as they say, is history. But Yehudis is the heroine of the Hanukkah miracle, according to Tosfot Masechta Psachim Daf Kov Ches. The Rashbam says, just like Esther was the heroine of Purim, Rashbam says Yehudis was the heroine of what? Of Hanukkah.
And Rus is the heroine.
And Rus is the heroine of what?
Mashiach.
Right?
Mashiach.
And who's the heroine of the Exodus? Shifra and Puah. Miriam Yocheved. Right? It's all women. Lillian, it's all women. It's just amazing. Gemara in Sota, page 12. Amram divorced Yocheved. Why have babies they'll wind up in Auschwitz? So little Miriam, what did she say? Abba, your decree is worse than Pharaoh. Because Pharaoh decreed against the baby boys. By divorcing mommy, you're preventing the girls. Amram was the chief rabbi of Cairo. She was a 5-year-old girl. Right? Miriam was, Sota 12 said she was 5 years old. What should he have said to her? I'm the chief rabbi of Cairo. Go back to your milk and cookies. Go back to romper room. You're going to tell me? But he listened to his 5-year-old daughter. And he remarried Yocheved. And who was born? So without little Miriam, there's no lawgiver and there's no redeemer. And the amazing part is that Amram listened to his little girl. He didn't tell her go back. Remember Romper Room?
Yes.
I'm dating myself. The message is listen to your little girl. Even if she's 5 years old. Women have a bina yetera that men don't have. Little Miriam knew better. Without her, there's no Moshe Rabbeinu, no Redeemer, no lawgiver. In the Alta Noshim Tzidkaniot, they wanted to throw in the towel. The men didn't want to have any kids anymore. So the women, they forced the men to have children. Women have a bina yetera. Therefore, Rosh Chodesh is a women's yontiv. Why is Rosh Chodesh a women's yontiv? Rosh Chodesh, Zisel, can you see the moon? No, Rosh Chodesh, you can't see the moon. It's all black. Black is black. Women have this awesome power. When things look blackest, they know that what? The light will come. We only saw blackness in Mitzrayim. Rosh Chodesh, it's all black. We wanted to throw in the towel, Avram. Why have kids? They'll wind up in the bottom of the Nile River. But women have Rosh Chodesh as a yontif because women know when things look blackest, the blackest hour is right before dawn. So things look so black. So the dawn of redemptions are right around the corner. The Jewish people are compared to the moon. We're like swallowed up in blackness, but we keep rejuvenating. Zisel, rejuvenating. We are the great comeback kid like the Levana. 3 years after Auschwitz, a third of our people were massacred. 3 years after Auschwitz, how did we come back and build this wonderful startup nation? The envy of the whole world. High tech, low tech, you name it. Vase, Wix, Vase, everything. 3 years after the Holocaust, David. This makes no sense. That's the power of Chidush. That's the power that when things look black, the dawn of redemption is very close. So Dafka after the Holocaust, the wonderful state of Israel. That's the way God operates. Men couldn't see it. Women have this incredible ability of the Bina Yetera to see through the darkness, that if there's darkness now, the light will come. So therefore, the light of Hanukkah, the heroine was? Yehudis. Dafka, a woman. That's pretty amazing. Why do women have this incredible ability to see through, right through? Why? But why? Where was a woman created from? The pinky? Inside. The nose? No, inside. Right, Lillian? Inside. So women could see right through. They were taken from inside of Adam. So we can see through the blackness. So Rosh Chodesh is the yontif of the ladies. When things look black, ladies know that the moon will shine again. That's our destiny, to rejuvenate ourselves. We all shine on. That's the message. We shine forever. We are God's candle. We are part of God's eternal flame.
For more of Rabbi Sprecher's teachings, visit rabbisprecher.com.